Hey, Crazy Mama Kelly coming at you here from my part of PA. Well, it's been a while since I made a video, so I figured, been bebopping around the house cleaning, so I figured I'd just throw one out there for you. Well, you'll have to excuse my look today. My dog had bedded me when I was trying to clean the house, so I think I'm going to have a black eye there. The culprit you'll see in the title page. This is her. See, she's a feisty puppy. Well, anyways, what I want to make a video about today is, I've been doing, covering, the Great Big Book of Everything, Pennsylvania things, weird PA. And what I have to say is, what the hell's up with all the, trees? Everything. Pennsylvanians have some fascination with trees. Anybody that knows actually what the word Pennsylvania means is actually Penn's Woods. Pretty interesting, but that's what it means. Throughout our culture and many other cultures, there's been, theories and mythology about trees in general. A lot of them come from Greece for the dryads. If anybody knows anything about that. The Norse tradition, it covers, sorry, I'm just trying to get the camera scheduled here, good, I don't have a tripod yet. The Norse traditions covers the tree of life, where the gods live in the branches, and each, the tree of life is actually like an axis through the earth, and it's just, the bottom is the underworld, where, the great serpent is always, that Thor always battles, is at the bottom, gnawing at the tree to destroy Earth itself. The middle is our area, and the top part is Asgard. That's where all the gods and everything flourish. And anything that lives on the Earth, lives in this planet or this dimension, gets all its substance from this tree of life. Also, if you look in the Bible, there's two trees mentioned in the book of Genesis, the tree of life, immortality, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which of course Adam and Eve ate off of, and then that's why they're cast out of Eden, because they were told not to eat from these trees, and God wanted to cast them out before they ate from the tree of immortality, because they already ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so they were ashamed of themselves, that stories. But what's going on here is, there is, around Pennsylvania, getting back to Pennsylvania, there is a couple trees, pretty interesting things. Along the roadsides you'll find them and everything else. But there is one in general, it's called the skull tree. And I guess what the story goes is, it's down on Old Devil's Road. It says that babies were sacrificed in this tree. What happens is the erosion from the earth exposes the roots to this tree, and it kind of resembles a skull. So people have said there's always weird, crazy things that happen at this tree. And if you drive down, you'll see sometimes some Pennsylvanians around here, we look at a tree and we think, ooh, art. We just don't see maple. We don't see hemlock. We don't see, oak. What we see is like, oh, wow, cool. Let's make something out of it. So some people carve things into them. I'm going to do a video of myself around my area. What we have is the wood carvers contest. People come from around the world, just come to my little town to make carvings out of the wood that's usually fallen. But Native Americans have stories about talking trees. Northeastern, so I guess it would be around this area. You can Google anything of this called mythology of trees, and it will tell you whole things. There's tree myths in Japan. There's tree myths in the Pacific Islands. There's tree myths in India even. I can't pronounce any of the books. It's the ancient texts, but I can't, I don't know how to really, pronounce some of it. Sorry, people, I don't. But, and even on an interesting note, even around in my area, I have a really close friend, actually, she's my cousin, and she, goes to this special area. She likes to walk, because a lot of people around this area, we like to go out in the woods and walk around. Actually, I would be in the woods today if it weren't for the fact that I'm afraid of the ticks. yes, people, I'm sorry, I don't like ticks, and there's high alert ticks around this area like crazy right now. It's really rough this year with the ticks, so instead of being a sport, I might yet still, because there's a couple rocks that I'd like to show you, some beautiful rock formations up in the woods. I might eventually get up there with you. I'll let you know. Just keep tuned, and we'll see one of these days if I do it when I have time. We'll get back to the trees. Yeah, Pennsylvania, we have tons of trees. We have tons of things. There's a memorial tree. There's the demon tree. There's troper trees where people make them look like mushrooms. There's even a chocolate tree in some university. I haven't read about that a whole lot, but it's in the book. If the great big book of everything, Weird PA. Yeah, these people, they donate to this tree each year. They have a ceremony, or they leave offerings of chocolate and flowers to this one tree, which I find pretty interesting. But back to my cousin, she has this one tree that she likes, called the vagina tree, because she says it swears it looks like a vagina, which I think is interesting. Someday if I go out there, I'm going to look at it. I haven't really seen it yet myself, but I might leave an offering out there for the great feminine and divine, and there's also trees. I don't know if you ever hear the legend. I think it's all prevalent throughout the history. There's one legend, it says about the lover's trees, where the trees sprung up from the dead grave of a corpse, or the lover, of one of the love stories, and it turns into two different trees. It grows out of there, and they intertwine, and they call them the lover trees. And I always thought, like that myth, I always thought that was a beautiful myth. But yeah, in Weird PA, we have a strange fascination with trees. I think it's embedded into our soul, into our psyche, about trees, because if you ever take a look at some of the stories, really prevalent stories, you'll find we always have fairy tales about dark mystical beings or heroes battling demons or whatever else, dragons, serpents, any kind of animal within a forest. The cool thing about a tree is, if you think about it, it doesn't matter any tree it is. If you're in touch with the divine and you're a very spiritual person, what I always like about trees is, like when I'm feeling stressed out or when I'm having a bad day, I go walking my bare feet around the earth, and I touch a tree, and you can feel the energy. If you really concentrate long enough, you can actually feel energy radiating from a tree. And if you're having a really bad day, what you could do if you form a kinship with a tree is you can go out there and you can rest against the tree, and you'll feel better. That's what I told a lot of my friends, when they're stressed out or anything. You can transfer this energy. You can ask this tree for, positive energy, and it will give it to you. And another thing about trees is, because of photosynthesis, or you know what I mean, trees produce oxygen, which is a really cool thing. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for trees, we wouldn't be able to breathe. And then besides that, they give us shade. And when you're a child, at least I know when I was a child, I'd always climb trees. It's just something fun to do. And you think about it, every creature, a lot of creatures in this world, we get our nourishment from trees ourselves. Maple syrup, hickory syrup, any kind of fruit you can think of comes off a tree. Apples. And there's a lot of myths about apples themselves, because they come from a tree, and a lot of things, they're the fruit of the immortals, that eat that. And there's also a lot of things interesting about trees. You just gotta go out there and look. And the Celts, which I'm a part of, I love the Celts. A lot of stuff they don't have written down. So a lot of these books that you get out there on the internet or whatever, they're just things that they've scientists drawn conclusions over, and then people have made them form into themselves. Because the Celts as a people, they didn't have any written language down. Orglum, yes, they did, but it takes a long time to study how to, decipher Orglum. You know what I mean? And I didn't know if anybody knows this, but the Celts themselves, as people, they worship the trees. I mean, they had a tree calendar. They had the 13 trees. They had all different names and magical associations with each tree. And the Druid culture, you know, they were the priests of the Celts. They had, you know, they worshipped the oak above all else. And they had huge oak groves where they used to perform their rituals and whatnot. It's really interesting to look into that, and I didn't even know how rampant. I mean, I knew about the Greeks and the Celts mainly, because that's what I looked into, but in Germany, Lithuania, the East, India, Japan, Pacific Islands, everywhere. If you look deep, you know, into the culture of trees, mythology of trees, you'll find some pretty interesting stories. But anyways, that is my take about trees in Pennsylvania. Just look around you. When you're bored one day, go for a drive. See what kind of weird, cool tree you can find. You know, and maybe, you know, you never know, there might be a living spirit inside that tree. I'm not saying you have to go worship trees, people. I'm just saying, take in the beauty of a tree and think about everything that it gives back. Maybe we should respect them a little bit more. You know? Lumberjacks, they cut them down, and they have a reason to, and they're really responsible around my area about replanting trees and whatnot. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of power in a tree, deep down from the roots all the way up to the forest, you know, up to the forest tops. It's beautiful. Alright, well, thanks for watching my part of PA. So from my shack to yours, blessed be and keep rocking. Alright, thanks. Bye.